Hello students of class 10. I hope everybody is fine out there at home. Now today we are going to start with the next online class that is regarding the civics. This is the last chapter, chapter 7, outcomes of the democracy. Clear? Now the how do we access democracy's outcome? This is a question. So what we feel when we feel that democracy is the best form of a government? Why we feel that democracy is the best form of a government? Because it promotes what? Equality among citizens. It enhances the dignity of each and every individual. It improves the quality of decision making. It provides a method to resolve the conflict and allows room to correct also. Clear? So these are the expectations which are realized under democracies. When we talk to people, we try to find it out who is against the democracy, who is not against the democracy. But somehow we come to know that many of the people, they prefer democracy rather than the military as well as a monarchical government. Clear? But many of them are in a dilemma. Are we living in a democratic country? Or we are not feeling so good in its practice also. So this dilemma invites us to rethink that do we prefer democracy only for the moral reason or any prudential reason to support this democracy? So over 100 countries of the world, they today claim and they still practice that kind of a democratic politics. They have a formal constitutions, they hold elections, they have parties, they guarantee rights to the citizens. But still, all these are there, advantages are there in the democracy, but still people, they are not satisfied with it. Clear? So our interests and fascinations for democracy always lead us to taking in a position that democracy can address to socio-economic and political problems. So it somehow says that if some of our expectations are not met, if our demand has not been cleared, what we start? We start blaming the idea for democracy. Okay. So the first thing towards thinking carefully about the outcome of democracy is to recognize that democracy is really a form of a government. It is only create conditions for which achieve something. Citizens have to take advantages of these conditions. They have to achieve those goals. So let us start. Let us determine how many government are there. Accountable, responsive and legitimate government. Clear? So in a democracy, we are very concerned whether ensuring that people have the right to choose their rulers and people will have control over the rulers. Whenever possible and necessary, citizens should be able to participate in decision making that affects them all. Okay, so the most important outcome of democracy should be that it produces a democracy, should be that it produces a government that is accountable to the citizen, responsive to the needs and expectations of the citizens. Clear? So some people what they think that democracy produces only less effective government, but it of course true that non-democratic do not have to bother any kind of deliberations in assemblies or worry about the majorities, or they have to worry about what the people is going to say against them. So whatever the non-government they do, they are very quick and efficient in decision making and implementation. But democracy is not as so. Democracy is based on the idea of deliberation and negotiation. Okay, so somehow if delay is bound to take place, it will be. So let us think in terms of cost. Imagine that the government that may take decision very fast, but it may take decisions that are not accepted by the people, because we have to think about the long term, not the short term. Okay, so if we take that government take a decision very fast, what will happen? It is not going to run for a long term, but afterwards in future it is going to face a lots of problem. Clear? So in contrast, what happened? Democratic government will take more time to follow procedures before arriving at a conclusion. So it has to follow procedure, its decisions may be both acceptable people and more effective. So the cost of time that democracy pays is perhaps the worth it. Okay. So if we have a go to the long run, we have to go through the delay also. Clear? Now let us move to the other side. Democracy ensures that decision making will be based on the norms and the procedures. A citizen who wants to know if a decision was taken through the correct procedures can be find this out. She has a right. She has a means to examine the process of decision making. This is known as a transparency. Transparency means what? We can see whatever government is doing. It is our right to see what government are doing and what we need to tell. Yeah. So this is factor is often missing. Transparency is often missing from the non-democratic government. So therefore, we are trying to find out the outcomes of democracy in its right to expect democracy to produce a government that follows a procedure and accountable to the people. So if we wanted to measure democracy, what will happen? You have to look for the following practices and institutions. Okay, what are they? Regular, free, and fair elections, open public debate on the major policies and legislations, citizens' right to information about the government and its functioning. So, most of the democracy, what happened? They fall short of elections that provide a fair chance to everyone and in subjecting every decisions to public debate. So therefore, democratic government do not have a very good record. They don't have any good record when it comes to sharing information with the citizens. So all of us, what we say in favor of democratic regime is that they are much better than the non-democratic regime in this aspect. Yeah. So democracy often frustrates the needs of the people. They often ignore the demands of the majority of its population. And what happens after that? The routine tales of the corruptions are not enough to convince us that democracy is not free of all this evil. At the same time, there's nothing to show that non-democracies are less corrupt and more sensitive to the people. So democratic government is what? It is a legitimate government. It may be slow, it might be less efficient, not always responsible or clean, but a democratic government is people's own government. So people wish to be ruled by a representative which we chosen for. They are believed that democracy is suitable for their country. Democracy's ability to generate its own support is itself an outcome that cannot be ignored. Okay, children? So this much for today. In the next class, I'll go through economic growth and development. Thank you.